Hello, welcome back. Christopher Taylor with Sovereign Harmony. How are you? I think the last time I saw you was just before the solstice, June 19th, 20th, something like that. So I have actually moved in the meantime. I'm now sitting here in Carlsbad, California, just north of San Diego. I've been filming in San Diego the last 3 years or so. And so this is the new place, trying to get used to it. New backyard, new sets of dogs barking, potentially. So I apologize for that. I don't have the sound equipment editing to get the dogs out of there. But anyway, the next couple of months, really big energies. And I've been talking about this for months, talking about the eclipses coming up in August and this sort of culmination energy of the Jupiter-Venus dance that I've been talking about since last year. That was basically a 1 year period from roughly September-ish 2016 right on through September 2017. So here we are right on the cusp of the finishing point of that. And so there's kind of a few things all culminating together, things that have started since about the fall of 2016, late summer, early fall, having to do with Venus and its retrograde, Jupiter and its retrograde, and their combination together, as well as the aspects Jupiter has been making since the fall. That includes an opposition to Uranus, sextile to Saturn in Sagittarius, and then also a square, big one, to Pluto in Capricorn. And so Jupiter has been in Libra since it entered there in September, and it will be exiting Libra here on October 10th and entering Scorpio. And really, what this video is going to do is just summarize where we are from this point, which today is July 31st, believe it or not, and so taking us right on till about October 10th. So roughly the next 9 or 10 weeks or so. Really intense, but all in good timing. Let's just put it that way. So I want to start, I don't even know where to start actually, but we are in the Mercury Retrograde shadow. So we talk about Mercury Retrograde all the time, and so we enter the shadow here, I think July 26th, so just about a week ago or so, and it will retrograde as part of this, of course. How can you have big shifting energies without Mercury retrograde? And it will be part of this from, August 12th. It will turn retrograde in Virgo, and then it will turn direct. So it will finish its retrograde and turn direct in late Leo on September 5th. And it's a more intense Mercury retrograde, in my opinion, especially when it moves direct September 5th. And the reason I say this is because of the moon's nodes. And I talked about this a couple of videos ago when the moon's nodes, the North Node and South Node, shifted from Virgo Pisces into Leo Aquarius. So we shifted from this sort of purging karma and getting to work period that lasted about 1.5 years from the fall of 2015 right up until the spring of 2017. And then here in May of 2017, the nodes switched. But they've been the energy switch has been a little stalled, a little delayed. So we've still been pulling out of the karmic work energy gradually and opening up to the kind of heart-opening, more fun, more heart-centered expression kind of energy with the North Node and Leo, and doing our work in the world. This is an Aquarian aspect to it as well. And so, this shift happened a couple months ago in May, but we haven't had a chance to really break into that new energy of the nodes, Leo and Aquarius versus Virgo Pisces. And it's these eclipses, and now this Mercury retrograde as well, that are going to bust us through, and it's going to be time to be living from the heart. So my last video I called it, the solstice transition to joy. So we're literally transitioning from that karmic work to the joy that we're here to actually experience. And so this is what these next couple of months are all about, is opening that up. And the only thing blocking it from coming really is ourselves. And I want to take us back briefly through a few periods of time of important transitions and turning points that all lead to now. It's really amazing how all this energy I've been talking about, different videos, little pieces of it. It's almost like all the pieces coming together in one point. And I think I mentioned that in my last video, sort of like the Harold style improv, where there's several different scenarios going on, and then they suddenly all unite in the end. And so we have this ending. We got a friend here, the new dog at the house. I don't know if you'll see her, but she's coming over to say hey. Hey, relax. I might have to edit this out, but maybe not. We'll see. Anyway, so where was I? I believe I was talking about Um, yes, the Harold style improv. So everything just kind of coming together is finally making sense. So what hasn't made sense until now, things in our lives are like, this is not what I'm planning. This is not what I'm trying to manifest. This is not in line with me creating my reality. Like, where's this reality I'm trying to create? And kind of just dealing with life as it's been handed to us. That's been the last 10 months or so for a lot of us. Ever since the eclipses back in September, those were the last Virgo Pisces eclipses back in September 2016. It sort of opened up a door with destiny in a way, almost like we just have to live through some final karmic purging before we can get to this heart-opening joy aspect that we're entering now. And anyway, so just understand that it's all going to make sense. And that's what the next couple of months are about, is helping it all make sense. And these dogs are probably just discussing this right now in their own language, I guess. I apologize for that. Anyway, so what's been going on then, and where we are now, just to get some summary. So actually, I'll just start with kind of outlining the dates of when these eclipses are happening. So, Mercury retrograde is going to happen from August 12th from Virgo back into Leo, and it'll go from August 12th to September 5th. So again, September 5th, when it goes direct, Mercury will be right on the North Node, Leo North Node. It's interesting to note that the Sun, the Sun, as well as Venus and Mars will all be joining the North Node as well between mid-August and mid-September, with Mercury going direct on the node in September 5th, right in the middle of that. So that 1 month period from mid-August to mid-September is really pivotal, because the North Node has to do with heading in our direction, the direction our souls intend. And in Leo, it has to do with where our hearts are aligned, okay? And so with all this energy lining up with that North Node, it's really kicking into gear the shift that happened in May of 2017 when the node shifted into Leo Aquarius, but hasn't been able to be kicked in. It's kicking in the next couple months, so especially mid-August to mid-September, okay? The lunar eclipse that will happen here on August 7th in Aquarius, this will be opposing Mars and forming a trine to Jupiter in Libra. And it is a culmination of the new moon in Aquarius that occurred in late January 2017, which in that new moon occurred just as Jupiter entered or started to go retrograde, and just when Venus entered its shadow for its pending retrograde, which started in March. Okay, and so this is kind of part of the Venus-Jupiter dance, or Jupiter-Venus dance, however you want to look at it, that I talked about before. And so that was a very, very strong turning point in late January, early February. So the last couple days of January, first couple days of February, whatever was going on in our lives, surprise things happening, surprise turn of events, those kind of things, they were designed to wake us up. And some of us didn't even wake up at that point, but it was the starting point of the wake up. The ending point of the wake up here is this lunar eclipse, this August 7th lunar eclipse. So if we didn't wake up at some point between late January, early February, and now, well, time is up, is kind of what this energy is. It's time to be awake. So if our egos have tried to keep us asleep, say, no, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. No, this is what I have to do with my life. This is what I have to do with my life. No, not yet. This is what I have to do. And kind of getting to that zone, the more we've tried to do that, the more the universe has been like, no, that's not what you came here to do. No, that's not what you planned. And the ego, the stronger the ego has been at trying to prevent the soul from really opening up to its own heart, the more intense this wake up can be here in August. But if we've been really open to saying I surrender starting as early as February, then we're not going to experience this August eclipse as much as other people. And everyone's going to be in a different spectrum, from some level of not refusing to wake up at all, so some people are refusing to wake up at all until this point when they have to, and others have gradually awakened a little. Some people have awakened almost all the way, and so the ones that have awakened almost all the way at this point won't feel too much. The ones that have really tried to prevent awakening will suddenly be awake, and it'll be an is what it is kind of situation. And so it's a slap in the face, like it's time to be in reality. And part of that reality really has to do with who we are as individuals, and how and where we fit appropriately with others, and how we've grown into understanding that over this period with Jupiter and Libra and all the aspects it's been making. So, a lot of us have been trying over the last 6 months or so to create scenarios and associations and partnerships of some kind that our egos think, this is what I need in my life, this is what will support me. Like, for example, a type of job that would support you, the type of people to associate with, or a partnership of any kind that you think, this is the kind of partnership that will support my life. And trying to force that because your ego wants this, so this makes sense. And, realizing who we really are through the process of things not working out. Okay? And then having to just surrender. And that's what we're in right now, this period of, you can surrender by choice, or you can just be pushed into it. So it's kind of like whatever you want to do. But it is surrender time. It is time to just kind of awaken to this idea that, we've grown into ourselves quite a bit in the last year. And we are now ready for the kind of associations, partnerships, etc., or outlets for our heart-based energy, whatever that may be. Ready or not, we are ready, essentially. So it's only us preventing it from happening at this point, because doors are going to start opening. Okay, and so as we move through here in August, that's August 7th. That's the lunar eclipse. That'll be very, very culminating. So it's just kind of, again, a representation of what's been building over the last 6 months, which includes the entire Jupiter retrograde and Venus retrograde. And they're about to finish their dance here in September, so shortly after this. Then August 21st, we actually have the solar eclipse. This is a total solar eclipse, August 21st. People are getting hotels and stuff across the US, because it will be the first total solar eclipse visible in the United States since February 1979. In fact, when that one happened, it was February 26, 1979. So eclipses always happen in pairs, kind of like this August 7th, August 21st. That total solar eclipse that was visible in the US literally happened 2 weeks before I was born. And I was actually born on the lunar eclipse that followed it. So I was born during that set of eclipses, believe it or not. So it's been a while since this has happened. So this is pretty rare. So I was, in the womb 2 weeks away from coming out during the lunar eclipse, within hours of it, in March of 1979. But so it's not something to take lightly. I mean, I think we hear eclipses and they seem like they're less rare than they are, but to have a total solar eclipse where you're at, very rare, very rare. Okay, so that's why people are making a big fuss out of it. And they want to get in the path of it and everything else. I think it's interesting. I'm going to be out of town and on the road that day somewhere, in transit that day during the eclipse. So which makes perfect sense considering how this year has been for me. But this is seriously like my first minute I can actually sit down and use my own time for what I want. But I'm riding that wave, and I know it's gonna all line up just perfectly. I'm trusting. Okay, but anyway, so exciting times coming energetically, and that eclipse, when you look at it from the astrology of it, is a very positive looking eclipse. It's very heart-centered. It's very now or never energy. It's why not now kind of energy, and it's very supported. There's a sense of knowing where we're headed, knowing who we are, and being completely ready to fully express it. Okay, and part of getting into that state of mind is the culmination of what we've been dealing with the last 6 months. To what degree it's like we've had an opportunity from the universe to wake up. Some of us have woken up earlier, some of us have resisted. It doesn't matter if we've resisted, it doesn't matter, or if we've opened. Either way, we're going to be in the reality here in mid-August, and then in a space of, I am so ready, let's do this, and finding ourselves supported by maybe who and what our egos were like, no, that's never going to work. No, that's not for me. I can totally relate to that, in terms of like work for me. Like, I'm like, no, this is the kind of work I need. And I've been looking, and then like the kind of work that comes, I'm like, no, I can't work. That's not going to work out. But maybe then it does. Maybe it actually opens up more doors. Maybe, this can happen in a personal side of things too. Like, no, that's not for me. That I can't. That group doesn't work for me, or that person doesn't work for me, or this is what I want. That doesn't equal that. No. And then there's a sense of heart opening and realizing, like what, again, if we follow our hearts, then the right supports come in. So it's like if you're trying to do something with your life, trying to create, there's a certain creative outlet you're trying to achieve, and you feel like, your job is taking away the time from it. It might just be, if it's the thing that's appearing there and it's paying you and it's supporting you, look at it a different way. Maybe it is the best support you could have for what you want in life. Maybe that person or that group is a better support for what you want in life than it appears on paper. It doesn't matter at this point, because we're going to be in a heart space of knowingness, and so all the egoic excuses and perceptions that have stood in our own way of aligning with our hearts, with what and who we need in our lives to make what we want happen, all that starts to fall away, and we're just in the purity of truth and authenticity. Truth and authenticity, and it's, there's the potential for total experience of joy, of just surrendering to the joy of authenticity, and the not having to work to create a persona or to create what we want to be perceived as in the world, how we want others to see us, the type of person we want people to think of us as, and just be who we are, and just be with the people and associations and activities that truly support who we are, as we now know ourselves. So it takes a certain level of trust, because we all get told who you're supposed to be and this and that. And then we might rebel against that, knowing that it isn't us, but then we create another persona that isn't really us. But it becomes that persona that we use to defend why we're not that. But I'm this. And then really, you're not really this either. You're some authentic mixture that might even include some of the pieces of what you just are rejecting about yourself. And so if you could take the best and leave the rest, and yes, there might be some parts of the persona we've created that are authentically who we are, but there might be parts of the person that that we are, that we were told we were, and we don't want to believe that we were told we were. And we find out that when we blend them, we blend the right pieces that really fit for us, that authentic blend, that authentic drink or elixir is who we are. And we can stop fighting against one idea of who we are versus one idea of what we want it to be, and just be who we are, if that makes sense. So I think we've all battled with this, but this is really just, this time period is waking up to the truth and reality of authenticity, and giving up the fight of trying to create who we want to be, or who we think we should be, or who we think would be the best thing to be or person to be to get what we want, and just be who we are, and find that what we need, what supports us, and what leads us even further with that comes naturally. And it's that surrender to the natural flow that is the key to joy. That's when you experience the joy, when the angst goes away, when the trying goes away, when all the effort goes away. You just relax into the joy, relax and surrender into the idea that you are okay, that being the authentic self as it is okay, and that there is no other like you, and that you don't have to fit into a tribe or group or anything. You just have to be you, and other people being themselves can support you, and vice versa. And it's not about having to cut pieces of ourselves off or rebel against certain pieces of ourselves just because they're associated with something we don't agree with or something, and just owning it all. I mean, that's what 2016 was a lot about, was getting into our shadow and owning it. And now, we're in a space where there's just no reason to judge ourselves in any way. Just be in our hearts and say, yeah, this is what I want. Wow, that feels good to say, This can work for me. Oh, wow. What? And just surrendering to this idea, like, how, or asking questions like, how can this work for me? And then finding that the answers come very quickly. And so you're just wondering, how could this job possibly support what I'm trying to do in life? And then the universe starts responding and answering it. How can this person that I think, that might arouse feelings in me, but makes no sense at all relative to what my ego wants in life, how can that support what I want in life? And then finding out that the universe answers that question. and you can go on and on and on. The idea is surrendering to what is in our lives as the support for who we are, by first accepting who we are and relaxing into that. Just relaxing into it. I think a really good point to make is, if something is not in our lives, if we're trying too hard to make it happen, if it's not in our lives, we're either not ready for it or it isn't for us. If something is in our lives, if it's entered our life, even if we don't think we're ready for it, we obviously are. Okay? We obviously are. If it's being offered to you, if it enters your life, if it stirs your passions in any way, don't push it away. And that's kind of the lesson of the last couple of years, really. And what this wake-up call between late January and now being August 7th eclipse, that culminates it, is a 6-month period of, whoa, this is in my life. This might be what I need to open to. And just that wake-up call of, how did I not see this before? How did I not see how this could work? How did I not see, why was I trying to create this? And that was something old. That was something associated with me before. It's this idea of who I'm supposed to be, and not who I really am. And it might be my idea of who I'm supposed to be. Not like an authority figure's idea of who I'm supposed to be, but the thought of who I think I'm supposed to be, to rebel against what the authority thinks I'm supposed to be. But even that thing that I think I'm supposed to be isn't who I am anymore. I've evolved. And so letting go of trying and putting effort into being that persona that we've created, and just surrendering into who we are now, who we authentically are now, and realizing that the things and people and situations that are coming into our lives, that are in our lives, are things we are ready for, and they're worth opening to. Okay, that's kind of the key here, because those of us who have really turned on the ego since late January, early February, really turned up that heat. You at the end of the day, you get the garden that you water, so to speak. And so this is why it can be a pretty jarring experience in August into September for some of us, if we've really been watering this garden that has nothing to do with our souls but everything to do with our egos. And then when our souls wake up here and there's nothing in the garden because we haven't watered that one this whole time, we're going to wonder where everything is. And so, you get the garden that you water. It's not everything we expect to be there is going to be there if we haven't tended to it, if we haven't cultivated it. Okay? But that doesn't mean it all is lost either. This is not like a dire warning or anything. It just means that if you awaken to this idea that this garden you've been watering isn't for you anymore, but you want the other garden and it didn't grow, well, you just have to now be patient and take the time to water the other garden and then create from that soul level. That's all. So it's, again, nothing is lost, nothing is dire, or it's just one experience is I've, gradually switched watering to this garden, and now that I wake up to it, it's there. And the other is, oh my God, I've woken up to the idea of this garden that I want to water, that I've been watering this one the whole time, and I have nothing over where I want it to be. Where is it? It's just going to take longer to produce the garden. That's all. So again, it's not the end of the world. It's not like there's not necessarily missing the boat. If it's aligned with your heart and your truest, highest good and soul, no matter what you do on the ego level to prevent it, you can't stop it. You can't. So it's just that moment you decide to face it and go toward it. Whatever it's going to take to make it happen is what you have to go through. I mean, that's karma, but it's never off the table. Let's put it that way. So whatever that means to you, but so it's a really intense time. That's all I'm saying, and it's like a graduation. The energy feels very much like a graduation, and I know that it's kind of back to school time here coming up in a few weeks, but the energy of this August-September period is very much graduating. Like, okay, now we've gone through it all. We know who we are. We know what we want to do. We know where our hearts are aligned. All that's left to do is to do it, and that's kind of what we're going here. I mean, Jupiter's finishing up its aspects with Pluto right now. It's a square to Pluto that's been going on since like November of 2016, and we're really releasing old limitations and rules for who we are in relationship to others, and really expanding and growing and knowing what we can do, what we can provide a group or provide a team or provide a partner with. Okay, and we're really expanding and growing into our potential there as we move through the end of August into September. We're also finding that the more we grow in our relationship selves and our ability to relate to others, that we are getting so aligned with our path in such a steady, consistent way, persistent way, that the momentum is building toward the joy of full expression, full authenticity, and doing what we love, or having opportunities to do what we love in a new way, or something like that. And when we get into September, once Mercury goes direct on the North Node, it's like now we really know. We just really know. And when we really know, when all of us, all the energy that was going into our egos now pulls back into our hearts, and we're fully working from the heart, now we have total confidence in who we are as an individual, and we're ready to test ourselves as an individual amongst others. And so with that new confidence, we find ourselves putting ourselves in situations that we wouldn't have before. Things that would have scared us off, we're kind of burning off that fear at this point. Really are. We're burning off that fear. And it's like a new day, essentially, as we head into the end of September here. And when we get into early October, again, Jupiter enters Scorpio October 10th. And right around that time, it's interesting, Venus will be opposing Chiron. It sounds like a small thing. But really, that's the culmination of the deep vulnerability we were going through in the springtime with the Venus retrograde. It was conjunct Chiron in Pisces pretty much February, March, April. Okay? And so what we were going through February, March, April, with having to cut into a deep vulnerability, dealing with some demons and things on a lot of levels, what came up then will be finishing right as Jupiter is entering Scorpio. So when Jupiter finishes Libra, which is the same thing as entering Scorpio, it's finishing Libra, entering Scorpio, it means we have finished and completed this relationship growth period in our lives. And so that is really what is culminating here. And it's basically decision time when we get to late September, early October. This whole late spring, early summer has been looking at the possibilities. Possibilities expanding. This could work, that could work, but how would that work? And just experimenting has been the name of the game here for, say, May, June, July. Okay, August and September is kind of the wake up, step into the knowingness of who we are. And then when we get to the end of September, early October, it's like, okay, let's make some decisions about what we're going to do about it. What specific projects are we going to work on based on this? What specific person am I going to choose as a partner to support in this? What specific groups or teams am I going to work with? And just getting things on paper, getting things solidified and discerned. So basically separating the wheat from the chaff, and going with this and not going with that. It's making the decisions. And so we're going to be making some pretty big decisions in late September, early October, based on all that comes to us, all the awareness and knowingness that comes to us over August and September. And all the awareness and knowingness that comes to us over August and September started seeding here in late January, early February. Okay, so not everyone woke up right away, but that seed was planted, and now we are in that, oh, now I get it kind of energy. Oh, how did I not see this before? Oh, why would I try to create that and totally prevent what I can do now if I only knew, And again, it's not too late. That's the beauty of it. But it can require more work than it would have required had it be woken up sooner. It started watering that garden that we want. And that's fine. We just have to deal with, what is. It's not a big deal. Or it can be if you look at it that way. But anyway, so very exciting times on the horizon here, the energies. And I apologize for the dogs barking in the beginning. And now you probably hear the lawn work going on over there. I'm trying to get used to this new place. So bear with me. But appreciate you stopping by, listening in. and I don't get a chance to do these very often anymore. I would love to do another $60 reading special. However, I'm pretty much unavailable until September. So I'm kind of riding this wave, doing what I got to do, going where I got to go, and trying to do work when I can. But I'm also looking to shift into some more work with teams and groups and relationships of all kinds using astrology. So what I'm looking to do is what I call creating compatibility, which is this idea. People think astrology is something you can use as a tool for matching people, or like matching a business team or something like that. And I disagree. I think you have to follow your heart, your free will, when it comes to choosing partnerships, choosing groups, choosing employers, that kind of thing. And once you do, astrology becomes a great tool for learning how to be compatible with all these people that are different than you. And it's just about getting into the unconscious differences. And that's what astrology can be used for. So when we dig into the unconscious differences, we can find not only the tendencies toward disagreement, but also we can come up with creative solutions for how to work together despite disagreement. Okay? Disagreement isn't bad. It just means we're free, sovereign beings, and that we're unique. And so it's respecting and honoring that idea of uniqueness, freedom, independence, and using the tool of astrology to create compatibility no matter what. And so that's really the next phase I'm headed in. So all this energy that we're talking about here, this is really what I want to do, is up this ante and start working with business teams, start working with partnerships of all kinds to help people that in their hearts want to work together, that want to live together, say like in a personal situation. How can we make this happen? If they know they have certain problems, etc., that prevent it, there's certain arguments that are always loops that keep coming back. We're going to find out what those are, find out how to get on top of it, and find creative solutions, again, to create compatibility. It is really a matter of free will. If you're compatible, it is not a matter of fate. It's a matter of free will. Any two people can get along. They just have to understand how to do so. And that's where I come in. But I will still be doing personal readings. Obviously, it'll be a little while. But when I do get back, I want to start refocusing my work on some more, larger scale things like that. But anyway, if I may be able to squeeze in a reading at some point, but it's going to be really tough over the next few weeks. But if you have any questions, if you are interested, if what I'm talking about creating compatibility speaks to you on a personal or professional level, feel free to reach out. I'm looking for ways to utilize it a lot more than I am at this point. So anyway, thanks for joining me. Christopher Taylor, Sovereign Harmony. I will be back at some point. I don't know when, but just enjoy this ride through the eclipses, the Mercury Retrograde, and the end of Jupiter in Libra. And I'll probably be back right around the end of Jupiter in Libra, just when Jupiter enters Scorpio, because there's a good shift going on right there. That's around October 10th, plus or minus. So look for me probably around then, if not sooner. And I will talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.